right, kids, rant incoming. And I try not to do that much on this channel because I try to stay positive and all of this. But I've had a couple of instances in the past week or two that have just straight got under my skin. And it's writers being buttheads. So you've probably seen my video on how to blow up your career and don't talk crap about other books in public. Yeah, look, if you want to talk smack in the privacy of your own home, hotel room, or around the dinner table with your friends, just try to make sure you know who's sitting at the next table before you do that. But that's on you. But here's what's lighting me up this week. What's grinding my gears, as Peter Griffin said. Crapping on genres. And in particular, the one that set this off is Romantasy. Apparently, guys that look like me, big, old, straight, white guys, aren't supposed to like Romantasy. We're not supposed to like books with female protagonists. We're not supposed to like books with female point of view characters who fall in love and maybe, get horny. Because, it's completely unrealistic that women get horny. Hey guys, if you think it's unrealistic that female characters get horny, that says more about your relationship to women than it does about the writer's relationship to reality. I read a fair bit of Romantasy because I read a lot of books and I try to stay current with what is popular and what is selling. So I've read Fourth Wing, I've read one or two Sarah J. Maas books, and right now I am eyeballs deep in the Everflame books by Penn Scott. I'm sure that's not the actual name of the series, but if you know, you know. It's the Spark of the Everflame is the first one. I'm in book 3 right now. I've been chewing through these books and I love them. I think they're fantastic. The characters are rich and detailed. The world building is awesome. The magic system is complex. And it's just a really well-crafted book. And then I go on the Book of Faces because I am an old, and that is where we go on the Facey book. And I see somebody talking about, we will not be overrun by romantasy. You don't have to read it, bro. You don't have to be overrun by anything. There's like 60 plus million books out there. Yeah, romantasy is really hot right now. You know why? Because fantasy is a big selling genre, and romance is the biggest selling genre, and always has been. So when you put those together, you sell a lot of books. And yeah, it's not terribly realistic that people will stop in the middle of a fight and go across and scrump. It's also not terribly realistic that somebody is going to be like, I'm going to cut you. No, I'm going to cut you. Let's dance when you're jet. But musical theater is still around and nobody's griping about that. Okay, probably the same people are griping about that. Here's the thing about people who are whining about romantasy is taking over the genre. It's the same dudes, and it is almost always dudes. It's the same dudes who 15 years ago were slagging on Kim Harrison and Laurel K. Hamilton for having the absolute gall to write female characters in their urban fantasy series that may actually want to get laid. My characters want to get laid. My dude characters, my female characters, they all want to get laid. Not the ace characters. But all the rest of them want to get laid because people like to get laid. And when you're writing realistic characters, that happens. I don't classify any of my books as romance because you're taught that if you can pull the romance out of the book and the plot still work, it's not a romance. And you can pull the romance out of my books and the book will still function. They won't be as good because people, me, you, maybe, fall in love and they have feelings for other people. And incorporating that into your writing isn't being a sissy or a beta or whatever the term that I'm going to get called 500 times for making this video is. It's writing realistic characters. It it makes my head hurt. And it never comes from, oh, well, you know, the writing in that wasn't my thing. It wasn't my jam. It's this genre is ruining publishing. This book has ruined fantasy. This thing is ruining sci-fi. Oh, get over yourself, you whiny bitch. We're past the 5-minute mark, so I can say bad words now. Saying that crap just makes you look A, stupid, and B, jealous. There are trends in book sales. Surprise. The thing that's super hot right now may not, probably will not, be super hot next year. That's why you don't write to a trend. Because by the time your book is out, the trend is gone. You write the best book you can write, and then you sell it the best you possibly can. If you're sitting here talking about romantasy is ruining the genre and I can't sell books because people are only buying romantasy. No, people aren't buying your books because your books aren't very good. People aren't buying your books because there's something else in your writing that is turning them off. Maybe if your characters had fully fleshed lives and interactions with other characters, people would resonate with your books, and then lots of people would buy them. I'm not saying that your books aren't brilliant. You specifically, your books are great. But I am saying that railing against a prevalent trend in publishing, one, does you no favors. It doesn't make you a better writer. It certainly doesn't make you look cool and look like you're this edgelord. It makes you look like you're a jealous douche nozzle. And if something's not for you, it's just not for you. Me, I'm not a big fan of grimdark. So lots of people will recommend the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie to me. And I've read the first one. I read The Blade itself. And it is inarguably an incredibly well-crafted book. And I didn't really like anybody in the book. And I don't want to read a book where I don't like anybody. So I didn't read the second 2 books in that trilogy. It wasn't for me. Again, 60 million books out there. I can find something I'm going to like. I found a book the other day when I went over to Troubadour Books. The other thing that's been grinding my gears lately is this elitist BS about certain popular genres. I've seen it with harem and reverse harem and isekai and LitRPG and some more established old writers are just like, I don't understand why that's popular. Well, there have been 2 generations of people born on this planet since you were, and perhaps these 2 generations past you like different crap than you do. If you, as a writer, are crapping on an entire genre, it doesn't make you look smart. It doesn't make you look elite. It makes you look jealous. And you know what people don't do for people who look jealous? They don't buy your stuff. I don't read very much lit RPG. Most of it, not my jam. Except Dungeon Crawler Carl, which is fantastic, and I am absolutely a donut hole for life. But most of the rest of it, not my thing. I don't read much harem. Not my thing. I like a good isekai. I like a good portal fantasy. Um, I'm all about some of that. It's okay if it's not for me. I mean, most women's lit beach reads aren't for me. Most memoirs, very much not for me. Hey, Gandalf, what are you doing over there? Being a bad boy? Gandalf wants you to talk about the things that you love and not the things that you don't understand why they're popular. Because when you say, I don't understand why that book is selling, you're frequently not saying it from a place of, I want to read this and examine it mechanically to see what this writer is doing that I can learn from. You're doing it to say, "Weh, don't be a whiny little bitch." Right, Gandalf? See? Love you, buddy. Everything's better when we lift each other up. When we talk about the things that we love rather than the things that we hate, people like us more. People in all fields. Here, I don't care if you're selling books or you're selling hamburgers. You can take this from my 30-year career in selling stuff and take this to the bank. People buy more crap from people they like. And people don't like negative people. If you are always putting negativity out in the world when you're talking about the things that you produce and the type of things that are your competitors, people don't like you as much. And people buy stuff from people they like. That's your free sales tip that I used to impart upon the salespeople I managed back when I had a day job, and I try to impart it on writers when I'm publishing them. The nicer you are, or funnier, or charming, or disarming, the more you will sell. I promise. Because you are your brand. People are not walking into bookstores and asking to pre order Reaper. People are walking into bookstores and saying, I want that new book by John Hartness. At least I really hope they are. Because Reaper, the 10th book in my Quincy Harker Demon Hunter series, comes out or came out, because you're probably watching this in the future, on August 14th, which is my birthday. So you should give me a birthday present and buy my newest book. There'll be a link to our Shopify down in the description. Anyway, don't be a dick and you'll sell more stuff. Don't whine about the things that are outselling you. Take a good hard look at it. Try to figure out what it is that customers are resonating with. If I were an epic fantasy writer, and I am not, I am far too ADHD to build a world that complex, I would be dissecting every Brandon Sanderson epic fantasy to try and figure out what it is that makes him the tippy top of that genre. If I were a lit RPG writer, I would be dissecting Matt Dinneman and Dao Wong and Shirtaloon, the guy who writes He Who Fights with Monsters. I really hope you're doing better, dude. I heard you were sick. You probably don't watch this, but if you do, I hope you're feeling better. I would be taking those books apart to try and figure out how to do them better. I've been working on a thriller. So I've been consuming a ton of Jeffrey Deaver and S.A. Cosby. And if you have not read S.A. Cosby and you are into thrillers and crime novels, my God, I think he's the best crime writer working in the world today and one of the best writers working today, period. He's amazing. So go read everything he's ever written, please. But I've been consuming tons of thrillers, both big names and successful indies, because I want to dissect what they're doing and how to apply that to my writing, because I've been writing urban fantasy for 16 years. And before I started, I was consuming a boatload of Jim Butcher and Kim Harrison and Sherilyn Kenyon and Laurel K. Hamilton. And I was chomping that stuff down by the bucket load. And frankly, I still consume a whole lot of work by those authors. But don't sit there and say, oh, that. You just look jealous and petty. And nobody likes jealous and petty. Mean Girls is a fun movie, but it ain't how you want anybody to describe you. So please, when you are talking about genres, whether you write in them or not, be conscious of how everyone perceives what you're saying. Because Sondheim said children will listen. I'm telling you that customers will listen. Readers will listen. And they will take the tiniest, most innocuous thing you say and pillory you for it. And they might very well be right. Because if you post something about, oh, well, I refuse to be overrun by romantasy, well, maybe you deserve to be overrun by something. All right, there's my rant. I'm done. I'm going to go back to giving you tips on how to write better, and I'll try to be shiny, happy heartness next time. All right? I'll be back in a little bit with more tips, and until then, if you stuck it out this long, you might as well hit that subscribe button, because I'm more pleasant most of the time. But every once in a while, you'll get a rant. And if you follow my shorts, you might get more swearies. So, bye.